Hello and welcome to the Transylvania Snowflakes Podcast, where two Southerners come to terms with their liberal blood-drinking ways. We're your hosts. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jason. And we're here with this week's spooky episode of the Carolina Snowflakes Podcast.
Spooky.
This one's entitled Halloween DeathMatch.
Ooh.
And you're going to want to stick around because we're going to have a SmackDown, no-holds-barred, throwdown championship match for the belt. The championship belt of Halloween evil mascot villain thingies.
Oh, I'm in.
Bad guys or good guys or Hollywood spookiness, monsters fighting.
Characters.
Yeah. We're gonna have a no-holds-barred death match with them, so you're gonna want to stick around for that. But before we get there, we wanted to talk about Halloween, because that's what this week's episode's about. We're gonna talk about Halloween, which is my absolute favorite holiday.
Mine too.
And I associate very strongly with Halloween horror movies, which, if you listen to last week's episode, Holly Waste Incorporated, that episode, we talked about all the waste and big budget Hollywood movies and how it's kind of lame. And I gave a list of a bunch of movies that were made for less than $1 million that were excellent. And almost all of them were horror movies.
Yeah, you did. That's
almost all of them were horror movies. I listed Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project. All those are great movies made for less than $1 million. Because horror is a genre that you can get away with that, which is what I love about it. You can use ketchup or chocolate to be blood, and as long as the story's good and the camera work is right and the music and sound are right, you can scare your audience, even though what you have is practically worthless or cheap.
Right.
That's one of my favorite things about horror movies. What is one of your favorite things about horror movies?
I just generally like the aesthetic. I like the look of darkness and especially the vampire goth look. I don't look or dress that way.
The vampiric.
But I like the way it looks. I like the pasty pale. And,
like Victorian kind of gothy look.
Yes, I just like it.
In vampire movies.
Yeah, and just the aesthetic in general of horror as a genre. And also I really like campy horror movies.
Me too. Those are my favorite.
Or just sort of like ridiculous practical effects. Blood gushing.
Yeah, like really over the top stuff.
Where it's comical.
Yeah, I think we should separate them into categories. Like, I've always thought there's different kinds of horror movies. There's like campy, cheesy, over the top, ridiculous practical effect zombie movies where it's just gory and gross, but it's not really scary. And then there's psychological horror movies with jump scares and lots of things that are meant to mess with your head that are scary. Then there's like torture porn type horror movies.
Yeah, that's actually a whatever genre.
Yeah, and I don't really like those. Those are my least favorite.
Yeah, you and I are not really into like what they call the torture porn.
Yeah, that's not really
genre
my favorite.
Of horror.
And then I don't really like the genre of horror that's like really slow paced, like moody horror. That's not always been my favorite either. I kind of like it to be over the top. Like, I want to see something crazy that I've never seen before.
You're like, listen, get to it. Scare me.
Yeah, or at least make me go, holy shit, I can't believe you got that on film.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that. What was the first scary movie you ever watched, and how old were you?
I don't know what the first scary movie I ever watched was, but I can think of the first time a movie scared me so bad I needed to go to my parents. It was like, help, okay. I'm terrified. Okay. It was The Exorcist.
Oh.
That movie scared the crap out of me. I was pretty young and I watched it by myself at dark and it freaked me out.
That movie's terrifying.
When you're young, it'll freak you out for sure.
It will freak you out even when you're old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was a really freaky one.
The first scary movie that I saw was Fright Night. I was 4 years old. Thanks, Mom. And I just was like, this is great. What is this? Like, Mom tells a story of all of her friends were gathered together to watch the VHS, and I was there. And she's like, I look around the room and everyone's got their eyes covered, peeking through their fingers. And then there's Amanda just eyes wide open, glued to it like, whoa.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
So yeah, so my first scary movie was a vampire movie.
When you were really, really young.
Really little, yeah.
I used to love vampire movies. I loved Interview with the Vampire. I loved like anything vampire related. But then as I got older, I started to realize, if you think about it, vampires are really wussy. They're weak to everything.
Yeah. And not only that, but they're also very caught up in love. Issues around love and relationships.
Like a lot of the spooky monsters have weaknesses. You know, werewolves are weak to silver, and like they'll all have a weakness. Like Superman has his kryptonite. But with vampires, they have like a shitload of them. They have like garlic. Okay, which I never really understood. Like, they can never eat pizza. They can never go in an Italian restaurant.
It's so weird.
They can't come in unless you invite them in,
right.
which is pretty weird. So, I mean, like, just never invite them in. They're like, I guess they're kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses.
And they don't like crosses.
They can't go near a cross.
Yeah.
They can't get wet with holy water, but maybe some of them not with any water. Like, they just can't get wet. So, that's the thing.
Yeah, they're really fragile.
Yeah, and then daylight, just sun.
Just the sun itself will annihilate a vampire.
And they have to feast on blood, or else they just sort of die without doing anything. They just sort of slowly die.
Yeah, they'll starve.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like 6 already, like weaknesses that they have, and there's more than that.
Yeah.
Stake through the heart. I mean, how many... they have to sleep for long periods of time. They are weak as shit.
They are, but I still really like them.
I know. For some reason, they're fascinating. I was always fascinated with Dracula.
Oh, yeah. Dracula. And then, you know, I was a child of the late 80s, early 90s. So The Lost Boys was my jam.
Yeah, Lost Boys.
Love that vampire movie. Actually, that would be my favorite, I think.
Mine was probably Interview with the Vampire. That was a great movie.
Is that your favorite horror movie or your favorite vampire movie?
Favorite vampire movie.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Dead Alive.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good one.
Yeah, we've talked about that movie. That's a great movie. That's in the zombie movie genre.
Zombie / campy.
Over the top.
Yeah.
And then the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Friday the 13th. I love all those except the ones Michael Bay butchered.
Well, yeah.
But I love all those. I love the Halloween movies.
Did you know that they call the genre of like campy horror movies splatstick?
Yeah.
Like a play on slapstick.
Yeah.
They call it splatstick.
Yeah. The ones where it's like, if you're a teenager and you have sex and do drugs, somebody will murder you.
Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Not that.
Yeah, and it's like so obvious that it has these overtones, but that's how they were able to get away with making them. So they wanted to make movies with boobies and gore, basically. And the only way they could get away with it is to make it seem like it was teaching you a lesson. And that's why they made those movies the way they did.
One of the reasons why a lot of people watch horror movies is because they scare them. Do you like that feeling when you watch movies?
I don't really get it as an adult. No movie has scared me as an adult. Nothing that's not a documentary, unless it's about real life.
Oh, you're like, real life is way more terrifying.
Yeah, it was way scarier. Like I've seen, like Tiger King is scarier than any horror movie.
I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, because that guy actually exists.
I don't know. I still have that desire to be scared when I'm watching a horror movie.
It just can't really happen to me as an adult. All I can do now is admire the filmmaking.
I do that too, and what I really admire when I'm watching them is the special effects.
Yeah,
and even the CGI stuff. Like, we went and saw It, the remake of It, in the theaters pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Remember when you used to go? Times. Remember when you used to go to movie theaters?
Yeah, in the before times.
Yeah. And I mean, I was just in awe of the CGI, the effects that they used in the remake with Pennywise. And there was one scene where the blood was just like flowing.
Yeah.
Massive amounts of blood out of Penny. And it was disgusting and over the top and horrifying. And I laughed. I giggled the whole time during that part of the movie because I was just so impressed with it.
That reminds me, speaking of like large amounts of blood, it reminds me of one I watched when I was a kid was The Shining that I always loved. Like that movie, it's not even really supposed to be a horror movie. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be like a horror thriller type.
Whatever it is, it's great. And seeing it as a kid like really stuck with me. The elevators opening up full of blood.
There's a lot of just scary imagery from that movie.
Yeah, the weird naked lady in the bathtub that like tries to kiss him and like that whole weird scene.
And the little girls, the twins, and then the elevator opening up and all the presumably blood just going down the hallway.
Yeah, movies that disturbed me were movies like that, or 2001 Space Odyssey. That movie at the end, when it gets all trippy and he sees himself as an old man and then as a baby, and there's this weird alien shit going on. That freaked me out as a little kid because like I didn't know what the hell was going on.
What do you think is the scariest movie that you've ever seen?
The scariest movie that I've ever seen.
Would it be The Exorcist from when you were a
Yeah,
kid?
it was that time. It was the scariest movie was watching The Exorcist at that time in my life with what little I knew about the world by myself.
Yeah.
And not having ever seen anything like that. That might have been the first rated R movie I ever saw. It really put
It'll mess you up. That's a really scary movie.
And then also I can relate to it from an artwork perspective. So a lot of bands, I started listening to more and more heavy death metal bands. And then I started looking up bands on the internet when I was like 12 or 14. And some of their artwork is very gory, over the top, zombies eating each other and everything. And I remember Googling some of those bands and their artwork, like shocking me. I remember like literally going to my mom and being like, I think I might be permanently messed up from the album covers that I was just looking at.
What did she say?
She was like, yeah, well, I mean, that.
She probably was like, well, stop looking at them, dummy.
And like that, you're gonna see worse than that. You know what I mean?
So your mom already knew that real life was way scarier than any movie or album cover.
I would certainly think that for me, especially as an adult, I'm more scared by like documentaries, like and
serial killers and stuff,
or just watching Congress.
Politics.
Yeah,
terrifying.
Yeah, watching Donald Trump do anything is scarier than any movie I've ever seen.
I think the movie that scared me the absolute most, other than the time when I watched Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 6, which I should never have done.
Right.
Parents, please don't let your 6-year-olds watch that. Would be when I watched Paranormal Activity as an adult.
Yeah, that was a pretty freaky movie.
That movie scared the holy crap out of me. So much so that after the movie ended, I turned on every light in the house and then I went and rented a Disney movie to watch after.
To like cleanse the palate.
Because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's how much that movie messed me up.
I watched and read a bunch of creepypastas online once about the SCP, Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all the creepypastas about these monsters. And if you get into watching a lot of videos of those late at night when you're by yourself, it can be pretty freaky. Like, I know Slender Man sounds stupid, but if you're by yourself and you watch those videos, they have very good mood setting videos. I've freaked myself out a little bit at night and been like, all right, I got to not watch any more Slender Man shit.
You're like, okay, time to turn this off.
Yeah, I got to go play video games for a minute to like get my head right.
It's like when you're a kid and Unsolved Mysteries would come on.
Yeah.
That theme song would start and it'd be dark and you're like, uh-oh.
I'm not going to lie.
Bad things.
There's times when I get put in that mood still today as an adult and I'll like pick up the cat and take it with me when I go to the other room just in case like.
What's the cat going to do?
If there's a ghost, you're going to throw the cat at the ghost.
Wait a minute. I know it. That's why you like the cat.
The theory is that you could throw a cat at a ghost and it'll at least distract it.
Oh.
So you can get away.
How you never told me this?
Or if it's a burglar.
Were you just going to let me deal with the ghost while you ran off with the cat?
Yeah. And if it's a burglar and you throw a cat at them, that'll certainly like delay them.
Yeah, I've I'm not going
Or
to
a
throw
murderer.
one of my cats.
I always wondered in those horror movies why no one ever did that. Like, you never see Jason with his hockey mask chasing somebody, and then somebody just chucks a cat at him. It'd be like, and he was slow, so it would like throw his balance off. He'd be all fucked up, not be able to catch you.
Or like in Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Carol Ann, catch the cat.
just chuck a cat. I don't know why no one ever tried that.
Go towards the cat, Carol Ann.
When I was a kid, speaking of horror, when I was a kid, one time I was holding the cat when my mom cut the vacuum cleaner on, and all 10 of its claws injected into my chest at one moment, and that probably scared me harder than anything that's ever happened in a movie. And I just think if you did that to Jason Voorhees while he was chasing you.
Yeah. If you toss the cat, flip on the vacuum cleaner, the cat latches onto his chest.
Yeah,
he's done.
He's done.
He's not going to chase after you.
No. And he's too slow to get a cat off of his chest.
Right. So this cat's just clawing in, vacuum's running, and you're free.
And he'll try to hit the cat with the machete, but it'll move because cats are fast. And so he'll just chop himself with the machete.
That's right. He'll just stab himself trying to stab the cat off of him. That's brilliant.
I don't know why no one ever tried it.
They should have.
Yeah. So if you've survived the horror this long, it's time for our Halloween death match.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, ghouls, ghosts, goblins, we're all gathered here to watch the smackdown of the century, a no-holds-barred match between our favorite monsters. In one corner, one monster. In another corner, another monster. Amanda will tell us what they are, and we'll see who wins.
All right, so I have cultivated a list of pairings of Halloween monsters and characters that we're going to decide who would win in a fight to the death.
And these decisions are final.
First up, we have Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street versus Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Instinct says Freddy Krueger. My gut tells me Freddy.
Why?
Because Pinhead doesn't really do much as far as like hurting people in the movies. He messes with your head, right? Like he makes them go do other things.
True.
And Freddy like actually physically kills people sometimes.
I'm going to counter it by saying, but Pinhead is the priest of hell.
Right.
Which makes him far more terrifying in my opinion. And also because he's so stoic and quiet.
Right.
He's smart.
Well, I guess if the competition is who could kill more people, it would be Pinhead. But
Right.
if the competition is they're fighting each other, I'm going Freddy.
I think we're going to have to be on opposite sides on this one.
I think we're going to have to disagree on this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Pinhead.
This one's a draw.
I think Pinhead and his intelligence takes Freddy down.
I think Freddy, with his claws and his agility, takes out Pinhead. This one's going to be a draw.
It's a draw.
Ding, ding, round 2.
Up next, we have Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs versus Jack Torrance from The Shining.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Two very psychological characters.
Now, the thing about Jack Torrance in The Shining is that he started off like a normal guy. I never saw Hannibal pretending to be a normal guy at all. He was always crazy in the movies. So my theory is that he would win because he's got more crazy. Like, there's some humanity. The reason The Shining is scary is because Jack has a little bit of humanity left in him. And that scary part is you can see yourself in there.
Right.
Whereas Hannibal Lecter is just sort of a blank slate psychopath.
Correct.
And so to me, he would win. That gives him an advantage in a fight because being a psycho gives you an advantage in a fight. But he isn't as scary because I don't see myself in him.
Right. I'm going to say I agree. I think Hannibal is far more... because he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
The character is a psychopath. Whereas Jack is basically possessed and haunted by ghosts.
Yeah, a person who went crazy.
And Jack's approach to murder is much more sporadic and obvious.
Yeah. Like he just walks at you with an axe.
Whereas Hannibal is more covert.
Yeah.
And subtle in murder.
Yeah, he might poison you. And like Jack Torrance isn't going to ever poison you. He's just going to slowly walk
with an axe.
With an axe, right.
Yeah, and Hannibal's going to kill you before you even know you're
I feel
dead.
like Hannibal would like poison him or something and it would be over.
All right, so we agree.
Yeah.
Hannibal wins.
Round 2 goes to Hannibal.
Up next, we have Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th versus Norman Bates from Psycho.
Okay, my instinct's going to go with Jason 100% of the time on this one. For 2 reasons. One, I'm named Jason, so just by default.
He's the winner.
He's the winner. And then also, I mean, Norman Bates is a human. He's alive.
Right.
And Jason Voorhees is like a zombie. He can't really die. So, I mean, how's Norman Bates really going to... Was he going to stab him in the shower?
Well, I paired these two specifically because they both have mommy issues.
Yeah, the point is, that is a good point. You could get at both of them with their mom. See, like if Norman Bates tricked...
If he dressed
Jason's
up
mom,
as
yeah,
Mrs. Voorhees.
yeah, he could like mind control Jason Voorhees. That's actually a really good point.
Jason Voorhees could dress up as mother.
He would never do that.
But he could.
No, but he wouldn't.
But he could.
I think I'm giving this one to Norman Bates.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
You convinced me.
All right.
Because Norman Bates would trick Jason into thinking it's his mom, and Jason can't do that to Norman Bates because he's a big fucking zombie man. There's not really not much he can do.
That's true. He's also deformed.
Yeah. I mean, like he's not going to
pull
off
that
a
off?
woman.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah. If
All
he
right.
takes his mask off, it's just terrible.
Right.
It looks like a lasagna.
Yeah. I like lasagna, but I get what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, we agree then.
Strangely, that one, round 3, goes to Norman Bates.
All right. Up next, we have Captain Spalding from House of a Thousand Corpses and the Devil's Rejects versus Pennywise the Clown from It.
That's, man, I have to give it to Pennywise. It's a supernatural versus a human deal. And Pennywise is pretty strong.
Yeah, that one,
They both do the clown thing, so I get why you paired them.
Right, they're both the clown look. This one's tough for me, although I'm going to have to give it to Captain Spalding.
I don't see what he could do against a monster.
Pennywise, yes, is a supernatural being, but only comes to life every 27 years.
Yeah, and Spalding's around all the time.
Right, so what would happen if they got into the ring and then Pennywise was like, it's 26 years and 364 days, and then he disappeared. Poof.
I don't think that's enough. I gotta give it to Pennywise. I think he wins because Captain Spalding's gun won't work on him. He could shoot him and it won't really do anything. He's not a cop. Like when he shoots cops, it works.
Also, we have to keep in mind though that Pennywise gets his energy from fear, and so
that's
is
true.
Captain
And he wouldn't be scared. So
going to be
kinda
afraid.
weak. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think so.
He wouldn't be scared, so he would be kind of weak.
So I'm cool. I'm sticking with my Captain Spalding on this one.
I'm going to have to disagree. This one's going to have to go down as a draw.
All right, fair enough. All right, up next we have Charles Lee Ray, a.k.a. Chucky, versus Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That is a really good one. I like this pairing because much like with the last one, Leatherface relies a lot on fear. He's big and slow and dumb. But part of the way he's able to freak people out is because they're like deer in headlights if you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Whereas Chucky, he's not going to be able to scare him at all. Chucky's sneaky and also like a psycho and will come at you like with all fury and you won't see it coming. So I think I'm actually going to have to give this one to Chucky.
I think so too. Charles Lee Ray, the character, aka Chucky, is a voodoo person, spiritual.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how he got into the doll in the first place. So he's beyond just chainsawing somebody to kill them.
And I think Leatherface is slow and without fear, he's not really going to be able to do much. And Chucky will just jump on his back and he'll just spin in circles till he gets dizzy and falls down. Yeah, Leatherface is kind of dumb is the thing.
I paired them because they both like to wear things that aren't theirs.
Yeah, I get it. I could see why you would pair them, but I'm going Chucky on this one.
I agree. All right. Up next, we have the werewolf pairing. So we've got the werewolf from Silver Bullet versus the werewolf from An American Werewolf in London.
God, those are two bad werewolves. That one's hard for me.
Yeah.
I don't really like either of those werewolves.
So you're saying they both lose?
I'm saying Michael J. Fox from Teen Wolf comes in.
I actually considered putting him
with a chair and slam dunks a basketball. And I'm giving this one to Teen Wolf.
Well, I love both movies.
Yeah.
I actually really do. I love them both. I especially like the American Werewolf in London because of the special effects, which, by the way, practical.
Yeah.
The transformation scene.
Yeah, it's creepy looking.
All practical effects.
Yeah.
There was no CGI.
Yeah,
it was 1981. I mean, come on.
It's crazy.
But I have to give this to the werewolf in Silver Bullet.
Okay.
Because, and solely because, and it's not even really because the werewolf earned it, it's because Gary Busey's in that movie.
Yeah. Anything Gary Busey's in's entertaining.
Which, by the way, Gary Busey is in that movie. He plays Uncle Red, who is Marty, played by Corey Haim, his nephew. And Gary didn't really want to do the script for the movie because he felt like he personally identified with Red as a character. Red's like a raging alcoholic, former whatever Vietnam vet kind of guy. And so he ad-libbed basically all of his parts in the movie.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Gary Busey.
Yeah, just freelancing whatever.
What a nut.
Ad-libbing whatever he can.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to give it to that one.
I'll give it to Teen Wolf.
Okay, fair enough. All right, up next we have the vampire pairing.
Okay.
So we've got Lestat, Tom Cruise from An Interview with a Vampire, versus Dracula, played by Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Does it have to be that Dracula?
Yes.
I'm still giving it to Dracula.
Even, do you not like that Dracula? Which one do you prefer?
He's not my favorite Dracula. I wouldn't say. Bram Stoker's Dracula as a film is not my favorite vampire movie at all. But the concept of Dracula to me is pretty overpowering. He would win against any vampire because he's the oldest, right? Like age is what matters with vampires.
Age, and then also apparently how much lineage you have, i.e. how much blood you have consumed from previous really important vampires.
Right, and you got to think, in Interview with the Vampire, Lestat isn't even as old as Antonio Banderas' character, which means Dracula would be way older than that. So my thing is that Dracula is going to be powerful. I love the Dracula personally from... I never talk about anime because I'm not a big fan of anime, but there's an anime called Vampire Hunter D that has the best Dracula ever. He's huge. He's like 20 feet tall, and he moves real slow, but he's super, super powerful. And in my mind, that's always what Dracula was. He's old, powerful, and you could come at him really fast, and he could just stop you instantly and suck your blood from across the room type of deal. And I don't think Tom Cruise is going to be able to do anything about that.
I paired both of them because, well, A, they're vampires, and B, because they both have a lot of relationship problems.
Yeah, they do. I think Dracula would use Christian Slater. He would zombify Christian Slater and use him as bait to catch Tom Cruise.
Which, by the way, so Christian Slater plays the character in An Interview with a Vampire who's interviewing the vampire.
Yeah, he's the one person in the movie that's not a vampire.
Not a vampire, although he looks like a vampire, but...
And he gets turned into one at the end. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. He wasn't supposed to have that role originally.
Really?
It was supposed to go to River Phoenix. But
that would have been a way different movie.
Yeah, but River OD'd.
Yeah.
And couldn't do the film. And Christian Slater stepped in and took the role. And afterwards, he donated all the money that he earned from the movie to charities in honor of River.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Would it have been interesting if River's brother Joaquin would have did it?
Yeah, maybe he was busy or something.
That would have been I like that guy. He would have probably did a good job, actually.
Yeah, well, they gave it to Christian. I'm gonna have to pick Lestat.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Dracula?
Yes, because now I don't. It's Tom Cruise, and that's not why. But it's because his character is very progressive.
Yeah.
For being an old ancient vampire.
Yeah, he did.
He was into dudes and chicks.
Yeah, he was.
He really didn't discriminate when it came to like who he wanted to,
Yeah. And I don't get the vibe that Dracula's bi at all. He seems pretty old school.
Well, this guy, he definitely was.
The other thing, Dracula was like the main villain in the Castlevania games, which were some of my favorite Nintendo games as a kid. And the Dracula, and that was the same thing. He was very big and tall and slow. And that image of Dracula has always been the one I liked. He seems undefeatable then because he's so powerful he doesn't even need to move fast.
Right.
Yeah.
He just is power.
Yeah, he just is.
Well, I guess we're torn on that one. All right, up next, we have Damien from The Omen versus Adrian the Baby from Rosemary's Baby.
Wow.
Both are allegedly the childs of Satan.
Yeah, they are. They both are allegedly satanic little children. But Rosemary's Baby's just a baby.
Although Rosemary's Baby does eventually grow up, there is a sequel.
Yeah, there is. There's also a sequel to The Omen. There's a couple of them.
There's a few.
Yeah. That one's tough for me. I don't know. That's like a Satan versus Satan thing. And like, who knows who wins that?
Well, it's a Satan's kid versus Satan's kid.
I think I'm going to say Jesus wins that fight.
Jesus wins. You know what's funny is that when you look up the character Damien from The Omen, it has a little like synopsis on Wikipedia of like the origins of the character. And at the bottom it says enemies. And one of them is Jesus Christ.
Jesus. He is an enemy of Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we agree.
Yeah.
I'm going with Damien.
That one's hard to say, but yeah, I'll go with Damien because he's not a baby.
All right, next we have the kids from Children of the Corn versus the kids from the Village of the Damned.
Oh, that one's easy. That's Children of the Corn kids.
Why?
Because the Children of the Corn kids were scarier to me, like spookier. Yeah. I don't know.
Was it the farming implements?
Yes. I think it's the farming implements that does it. Because in Village of the Damned, those kids didn't have farming tools. And they didn't look like Amish kids.
No, but they were like telekinesis, mind control little shitlings.
Yeah, they were.
They got like grown-ass adults, their parents, quote unquote, to like kill themselves.
That's true. I guess like the psychological thing in the Village of the Damned would work. But would it work on the Children of the Corn? I don't think it would. I think they would just hit them with a sickle and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, that was my argument for the Village of the Damned, but in all honesty, I'm going with Children of the Corn.
I think they just hit them with the sickle.
Far more terrifying. Also, there's more of them.
Yeah, there is.
There's only 5 kids from the Village of the Damned.
And there's corn everywhere.
And Children of the Corn, there's as much children as there is corn.
As there is corn. Yep, they basically live in the corn.
They do.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with Children of the Corn on that one.
Me too. All right, last one.
Last duel.
Margaret White, Carrie's mom from Carrie, versus Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mom.
Oh, man, I would have made a different comparison.
Oh.
Yeah. What if you did Carrie's mom versus Kathy Bates in Misery?
Ooh.
Because like possessive and controlling and torturing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just thinking of mothers.
Mothers, yeah. And Kathy Bates was torturing somebody who wasn't their kid. But God, she was spooky.
Scary as hell.
Yeah. So that was why my mind went there. Because in a
do you want to change the matchup? Or are we kicking Pamela to the curb?
Yeah, I do want to change the matchup.
All right, so we're changing the matchup. We're going Margaret White, Carrie's mom, versus I think her name was Annie.
I can't remember.
Wilkes.
Something. It's been
Annie
a long time since I've seen
Annie
Misery.
Wilkes, I think, is the character's name, played by Kathy Bates.
That's a better matchup, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
I like it.
That's a tough one too. That is a tough call. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going with the Kathy Bates character.
Yeah,
because yes, they're both similar in their strategy of control and abuse and all that, but like, she was always one step ahead of dude that she kept captive.
That's true.
And was obsessed with. Whereas Carrie's mom was more...
Reactive.
Yeah. Yes.
I agree. Actually, I was going to say, and towards the end of the book, at least, I haven't seen the movie of Carrie in quite some time, but I think Carrie develops more independence over her mom than what happens in Misery when she breaks his ankles and basically his like, will.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You're mine.
Feel like I'm going to go with Kathy Bates.
Me too.
It's a tougher match, though. It's a tough match.
It is tough because they're both nuts. They're both violent.
And they're both controlling women over someone else. Yeah.
All right, Kathy Bates it is.
Woo, Kathy Bates. She wins it.
Woo!
I also think she's just a great actress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Fantastic. So at the end of our Halloween death match, we have Chucky and Kathy Bates and some other people standing at the top of the ring. Freddy. That was a draw. And they're all there, like on one of those Olympic things where it's like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Like the podium.
The Olympic podium. Yeah, they're standing there, and we are the ones who just broadcast the match to you. These decisions are final. We don't want anyone to write in and tell us that they disagree with our decisions. That would be bad. But if you did want to listen to some of our other episodes to get some ideas about, we've done a Halloween episodes in the past, in fact, you should listen on our website.
CarolinaSnowflakes.com.
Yeah, or if you did want to send in something, but not about which monsters would win, you could do that on Facebook.
Facebook.com/Carolina Snowflakes.
And if you really, really, really want to send us something about monsters, don't send it to this email address.
CarolinaSnowflakes@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.